Better give me my card.
You need to go that way just a titch.
Okay.
And you need to come over this way just a titch.
How's that? You're going to see us all getting all buttered up here. Fluffing our hair. Welcome to the Sedona Soul Sister Show, down-to-earth discussions on metaphysics, paranormal, and spiritual topics. The Sedona Soul Sisters are myself, Roz Reynolds, Ivory, my business partner here, and our friend who joins us when she can, Melissa Brace. And we have offices in Sedona, Arizona. We've all been here off and on a number of years, and it's amazing energy. So if you come by, come and see us. Today's topic is surviving holiday blues. I'm already hearing clients talking about it. So if you have questions or comments about today's topic, you can let us know in the chat room for the show. We will answer your questions live on the show, and we will be sure to see all your comments, I promise. So this seems to be a big subject for people. Is I hear people saying, I'm just trying to get through the holidays.
Or I hear people saying, I hate the holidays.
Yeah,
I dread them.
That too. So really, if you can just kind of chill yourself, there's always more to do than you could ever possibly get done. And I always remind myself of that. And especially when all my kids were little, it was like, okay, just slow down. It'll all happen. And that in itself, the anxiety of that can cause you to go into a little bit of a funk because it's so stressful. It's just so stressful.
Being a medium, I think what comes to mind for me first, because there's always this big flood of mediumship readings the closer we get to the holidays. It's a natural time for people to think about those they've lost and those who've crossed over, because the truth is, I'm going to say it, you've never truly lost them. So the loved ones who've crossed over, just wishing that they were there, thinking about old holiday times with those family and friends. And that's really hard for people. So
it's heartbreaking. I mean, it's really heart-wrenching. So you really have to kind of remind yourself always to tap into that connection that you feel and the memories too. I remember, when my brother died very unexpectedly, and I was 40, and I thought, this is not good. This is not going to be happy holidays, because he was kind of like the spirit of the Christmas holiday. But an interesting thing happened. Of course, at that time, all my kids were still little, but I did start to just tune into all the fun things that he could think of to do, and the hilarious things he did. Like he loved to buy for Christmas, so he'd buy all year long, then he'd hide the presents. Then when it was Christmas, he couldn't find them. So, I mean, there was just always something going on, and I do still feel that energy from him so much.
I do think that's really important, and that's something that I find myself telling my loved ones who are struggling, and my clients as well, and myself, because I feel the same thing. Is I like to think about what are the moments that I had with that person that are joyous, that are precious to me. Talking about them with other family and friends really lifts everyone's vibrations, lifts your mood. And I got to tell you, it makes that spirit so happy that you're thinking about them, you're laughing, you're thinking about them with love and delight and joy. That's what they really want. But it helps lift you out of a funk.
And I think the realization that we have during this time, of course, we miss them, but we do also have the ability to just close our eyes and take a deep breath and kind of replay the tape of all the wonderful things that happened. Unfortunately, I'm not sure that's what most people end up doing, because I think there's also that other tape of the grief, the sadness, your Akashic record kind of replaying itself. So you really have to make a conscious choice, I think.
It's just like that every day when you get out of bed.
Yep.
Am I going to be happy today, or am I going to be sad?
Or am I going to be bummed?
Mm-hmm.
So it's really important. And I used to always, remember my other friends who passed when I was younger too, and try to think about their families and try to send a card or just kind of get in contact. But as the years have passed,
you
we
lose
do
touch.
Yeah, and we do also make peace with, the fact that even though we do not have the physical presence of that person, we definitely do have the heartfelt love and that connection. So got to kind of revolutionize your thinking if you can.
The other reason people tend to feel blue over the holidays is a big one, feeling lonely, whether you don't have family anymore or whether you're not near your family. But I just kind of want to remind you too, this also can be a choice. So maybe your holiday, if you can't be with family and friends, maybe your holiday doesn't have to be lonely. In this day and age of computers, you can go on meetup.com and find hundreds of gatherings going on within easy driving distance that you can get involved in. And those gatherings have holiday events. So you can make a decision to start getting involved with the people who are near you. Even if they're not your loved ones, they can become like a second family for you. The other thing is, this time of year is a wonderful time. People usually think of it more at this time anyway, but if you start serving others and thinking, how can I give to others? How can I make a difference in someone else's life? It sure takes your mind off what you're sad about.
And carrying that forward, I mean, nowadays we have the resource of looking online to see where they're seeking volunteers to come and help. And there's always a list. And if you have the financial resource to donate and to give to families who are not going to be able to have any money, any disposable income to purchase gifts for family members, for children, etc., that's a wonderful way to make a contribution too. So I think thinking of others is a huge aspect of getting ourselves in gear to move forward.
Roz and I were just talking about this the other day, how when our children were little, we started the tradition of doing there's the Toys for Tots program. And where I lived in Prescott, they have the Christmas tree and Christmas angel trees, and taking our children and having them participate in buying gifts for other children, buying food items for families who couldn't afford a holiday meal. And our children continue that as adults.
Yep, they do.
So I think that just kind of is a mindset too. You can look around in your community. All right, I find myself doing this. Sometimes I isolate a little bit more than I want to. And I look around, I'm like, what can I get involved in? I don't want to be alone a whole lot. No matter how tired I am, I don't want to be alone too much. So look around your community. Look in the newspaper. Concerts are going on, free or nearly free Christmas concerts by your high school, your colleges, community chorales. That's a wonderful thing. Christmas lightings, Christmas parades, those kind of things where everybody's joyous and feeling festive. It can really lift you out of the doldrums.
And that goes back to what you were saying too about making a decision to do these things. It really is true. When you know the holidays are starting to approach, get some plans going on. Get some ideas of things you would like to involve yourself with. And I mean, we all have friends that are lonely.
We do.
So just getting them involved, joining with them is always a fun thing
or
too.
Start your own thing. Have a dinner, and all your friends who don't have some place to go, have them come over and just have a gathering. It helps. You need to do something to make your holiday time feel festive to you. And so it's not on everybody else who's not alive anymore or all the people who don't live near you. It's on you to create some new traditions and find some new ways to get out there, meet new people, and get in that holiday spirit, or at least just don't feel too much of a funk.
Well, I think one thing, that does happen also is there are some people who have brain chemistry or have the kind of like proclivity to struggle with depression to begin with. So that blue funk thing can really become a tsunami.
Yes, a black funk.
So yeah, I think you have to really, really make the choices leading up to this that are powerful.
Through counseling, I've learned you make lists. I have my clients make lists, and I do it for myself too. If I know a rough time's coming up, a holiday or just a date that's difficult for me, make a list of things that you can do to take your mind off that, to lift your mood, things that will work for you. Carry it around with you everywhere you go, because you never know when you're going to be hit by a wave of that. So that can be things like, it always lifts my spirits when I had several people tell me this. They love to watch the Three Stooges, which makes me laugh thinking about that. So that's one of their things. Watch the Three Stooges, or when I make cookies, I feel better, or, whatever it is, whatever lifts your spirits, you have 3 things minimum that you can choose from a list to do. And as soon as you start feeling like you're sliding down into it, whether it's normal emotions or you do have a chemical imbalance, this can help. And just go do one of those things right away. Don't let it get too bad.
I think participating with friends, to me, there were some periods in my life before I had my family when I was alone at Christmas, and all of my friends were, involved with their families, except for the people like me. So, we really would connect and, create our own little holiday thing. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot that you can make a decision to move forward with on these situations.
And I know Ross said something earlier that I think she said it really early into the show, and it's so true. Relax a little bit. It's okay if your current holiday isn't like it was when the kids were little, or it isn't like it was when you were little. Things change. You can have a wonderful Christmas, even if it's just you by yourself. You can enjoy putting up the ornaments, the decorations that mean something to you, that bring you joy, bring you happy memories. You can enjoy doing things in a community that are fun for you, and just relax about it. You don't have to go make 10 batches of cookies. There's the good news. When you don't have the kids anymore. No. Yeah, you don't have to make all the goodies. You can relax and have a more enjoyable holiday season that's low key, and you just fill it with the things that are meaningful to you. And let go of what Christmas used to be, or you thought it should be, or, whatever. You're watching too many movies, maybe. Because those, movies and TV set an unreal standard for many, many things, including holiday celebrations. For
unrealistic expectations. Mm-hmm. And I think allowing yourself to flow with the change instead of resisting, mm-hmm. too. I know there were, periods when I was younger where I definitely would get my mindset into a resistance mode. I do that well, actually. And
I can vouch. I'll vouch.
And I just would have to really stop myself, mm-hmm. and say, okay, I'm going to refocus, make a list, decide on some things I would like to, pursue or have happen. Send cards to people that I know are like me. There's so many aspects of looking around and deciding you're going to participate in your own way. Mm-hmm. So pretty powerful. One thing I have noticed is I've had a lot of people talk to me in the last few years about what you mentioned, the way it was when we were kids.
Yes.
And that is really difficult to let go of and to realize, hey, times have changed. Mm-hmm. It's a different outlook now. And if you get away from the commercialization, I can remember, things that happened when I was a kid. And I know there were certainly times when my parents, due to ill health and other situations, did not have the funds to really produce the huge, amazing gifts and all that. But they would create things, they would make things, and it still was fun.
Experience is what it's more about. But this brings to mind something funny. It's funny now. It hurt my feelings a year ago, but you got to see, I'm going to explain how I set myself up for this, because I think there are those of you out there who will relate to this. This comes back to when I was little and the things that were fun. I was the oldest of 5 kids, so I was the ringleader. I organized. I kept everybody in activities. That was part of my job. So at Christmas, one of the things we would do is the 5 of us would lay down with our heads really close to the Christmas tree, looking up at the lights, and sing Christmas carols. And we would do that for hours, sometimes every night for an hour or two. And it was so much fun. And I was telling my niece's girls about that last year, and they're like, oh, let's try it. What I didn't bet on is that they don't have the patience to lay down. They enjoyed it for about 5 minutes. And I wanted to go Christmas caroling because that's been an important thing for me. It gives me a lot of joy, but nobody else was into it. So I let it go. I'm like, it's okay. It's all right. I let that go. That's my thing. And this year, the 6-year-old is like, I want to go Christmas caroling this year. Like, excellent. I have everything from last year ready to go. So that really was exciting for me. But we have to roll with it. We can't make people fit into the mold of who we were or people we knew growing up. It is what it is.
Or who we want them to be.
We can introduce activities to them. We can make suggestions. We can try things, but they're going to have ideas of their own.
It's true.
And if you really want to have fun, you go with it.
Yeah, you just flow along.
Even if it's cornhole for 4 hours. I play it because that's what my family likes at Christmas. So
I think another thing to just kind of think of is there's always that letdown after Christmas Day and that little space between Christmas and New Year's. And that's rougher for some people than the actual build up to Christmas Eve and Christmas Day.
Don't you think that's having unrealistic expectations?
I totally do.
And nothing can stand up to that, which is why it's best to let go of your expectations and just go with it.
I think we all have to become very conscious of what we put out too. Like if you're sending out, there is that total energy of sending out, like feeling down, feeling unhappy. Well, guess what? Everybody's empathic in their own format. So we're kind of like infecting everybody around us too. So you got to kind of have some consideration for not just the realities, but also how your energy is working on other people around you too.
Oh, so. Like just before the show when I was rushing around. And you're like, Ivory, stop.
Whoa, take a chill. You're crying me here.
That's a perfect example.
Well, Ivory is a very high energy person. I am high energy at times, but the rest of the time, I'm just trying to put myself on chill mode. So when you put that together, occasionally, it gets a little fiery.
And 2 redheads, so need we say that. I was trying to think of something else that popped into my head about this whole subject. So, okay. So one thing is, if you're not with people, if you're not close to your family, the modern age does offer us a whole lot of ways to bring our family. I have family from the southeast coast up through Texas and up into Arizona. So we're rarely together for Christmas. It just doesn't work out. So what we do is we get in as many people, all the Arizona people together that we can, and then we call each of the other families as a group. And it really does feel that connection. It really does feel like the whole family's been brought together, and it helps fill a little bit of that void. You're feeling like, oh gosh, it would be so nice if all 27 of us were together now, but that's just not possible most of the time. So make it happen. Do Skype, do FaceTime on your phone so you can see each other, and that just will make your heart feel so good.
So many amazing electronic, fun gifts that we can play with in terms of connecting with people now. That part's awesome. I know my family, we all have a text where we all get on and we're all texting each other when we're planning something or there's something going on. And that gets pretty wild because everybody has suggestions. Everybody's doing this. Who's doing that? So it actually is really, even though you're not together, you are connected.
Mm-hmm.
It's really fun.
We do the same thing. And something came up earlier that just I think we need to emphasize a little bit more too. Let's say that you're at home and you're feeling lonely, or you know you're going to go home from work and you're going to be alone. So what would make you think about what would make you feel so good if it happened to you? And then think of somebody else you know who's alone at Christmas and do it for them.
Good plan. Really good plan.
If it's knocking on their door or just leaving a poinsettia outside their front door for them to find and a total surprise, make them a little homemade goodie and take it over with, to just say Merry Christmas, whatever would give you joy, you can bet it's going to have the same effect for somebody else. And you will gain joy and satisfaction from giving that way. It comes back to that again.
I think so. I think a lot of our motivations, when you really cut through all of the stuff we're bombarded with at the holidays, all of that expectation, all of the expectation of gifts and et cetera, what it really comes down to is that heart connection that we do have. So tap into that. And I see people all the time who haven't seen their families for years, but they're still connected. They still have that thread. So it's a matter of what you determine you want to do in your head and in your heart.
I have a lot of clients who are older, and I know I'm older now, but they're older than me. And one of the things they really miss is getting Christmas cards in the mail. So I just want to put that out there, that if you know somebody who's older and they're not with family for Christmas, or even if they are, it would mean the world to them to get some Christmas cards. So that's a little thing that you can do that would just brighten up their day. Also, children feel the same way. Interestingly, older people who, when I remember I used to get mail all the time, and I do miss that. And kids love getting mail. So those are just some things you can do. But when you take your focus outside of yourself for any situation, it always helps get you balance again and get centered, because we can get, I don't want to say, I guess it is like a little bit of narcissism. We go through little mini periods of narcissism. Oh, woe is me. This is happening to me. So once you start thinking, okay, what can I do? Could I go volunteer at the food bank? Who could I donate some items to that might need it? Warm coats I don't wear anymore. Gloves and hats I don't wear anymore. New items for a toy drive, whatever. It changes everything. It's just a total energy game changer.
Well, and I think that is a really important point too. It's not necessarily about that you're going out and actually purchasing anything for someone. You have extra items that are still in wonderful shape, and maybe somebody who needs. I always think about this time of year coats.
Me too. That's why
because
I brought that up.
Yeah, so all of a sudden here in Sedona and this whole area, it's like hot and it's summer, and then all of a sudden within a space of like 2 weeks, it's like, okay, hello, yeah, winter, fall. And I always think about, I know there are a lot of donation areas here where we live where you can take extra gloves, extra scarves, hats, etc. So it's a cheery thing.
It is. And I want to say too, if you get to a place, I want to kind of circle way back here to the whole thing of missing people who've crossed over, people who've passed. It's a natural thing to miss them. It's very natural. And so maybe that is a good time for you to consider doing a mediumship reading. Don't do them too often because you don't want to get reliant on that. But your spirits that are past love hearing from you, they get excited when you set a reading. They know that you set that reading. It's always interesting because they come see us before you get here.
Very true.
They even come to our houses and in our cars and let us know they're coming in.
Very true.
So that's something you can do to, if you feel like you're just in a place where none of these things we're talking about is going to help for you. A mediumship reading, what that does, the reason I love doing it is it lets people have that connection with their loved one who's crossed, that they can't get on their own, so that they feel like they're right there with them for a while. And it does give you healing and peace. There's a lot to be said. And just to know that they're truly on the other side, they're not only fine, but they're joyous, they're radiant with health and love, and they don't want you to be sad. They want you to be happy. I mean, they say these things often in readings. Their concern is not on them, it's on you. So maybe it's time to give yourself the gift of a mediumship reading. It doesn't have to be with us. Yes, we do that, but the important thing is you get one and you get some healing out of that. And maybe that's what you do for a while, for a few years, because the truth is, grief, there's no calendar end to it. Some people do get past it really quick, and others it can linger and linger and linger. And so you don't want to be stuck in the stages of grief. You want to move through it and get to the other side, the healing part of it, as quick as you can.
It's true. And I think once you have experienced that connection, and I very rarely have a client who does not immediately feel that. Mm-hmm. You can feel that energy. It is still present. And it's very comforting to know.
It is. And something I like to do, just because of experience, I know how much it means to clients. I want to teach them what it feels like when their deceased loved one is right there with them, what it feels like in their body, what to expect, what to look for, and then find out the signs that their loved one is giving them to let them know that they're there. Those are things that are going to help you get through the Christmas season. So this is talking about if you're in the early stages of grief, or you're stuck in the early stages, it might take that for you to get a little lift at this time of year. Just something to think about.
Comforting.
Mm-hmm.
Provides
teddy bears are good.
Level of comfort.
So about 3 minutes.
Okay. I'm serious about the teddy bear thing. There's a big belief out there that if you feel like you just need some comfort, so if you're missing your mom, you're missing your dad, even if you're an adult, you're missing somebody who provided comfort to you, go out and pick yourself out the best teddy bear you can find and hug that teddy bear like nobody's business. It's amazing the comfort you can get. You'll transfer the love of that past spirit into that teddy bear by just hugging it and thinking about them. And it does give some peace.
Yeah, I'm in total agreement with that. So thank you so much for joining us today on the Sedona Soul Sisters show. Ivory and I appreciate your visits, your input. And as always, we are in our offices. We will have a little Christmas break, though, so go on our online booking calendar at SedonaSoulSisters.com just to make sure if you're going to pop by, we're here. One thing I would like to say is on our website, I've had some feedback from people that have questions. We're happy to answer your questions. If you read about our services and you would like, to get some additional input, please let us know. But join us here in Sedona and join us. We will not be here on the show next week.
That's part of the Christmas break. But in 2 weeks, we'll be back, and the topic will be reducing drama in your life. Who doesn't need that? Have a beautiful Christmas and an enlightening week.
Love and hugs.
Always.